live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Hey, hey, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going live. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, yeah, we going. Yeah, 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 we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Real good topics.
Yep.
All right, so Kelsie Whitmore,
Yes.
the first woman to start in baseball's Atlantic League.
Yes.
And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is kind of a, it's not the minors. It's kind of, I don't know what I would describe it as.
Is it, well, they can, I do think they consider it minors, but it's more like development, like the G League would be the developmental league.
Okay.
Or, you know what I mean? Like the
Right.
developmental league for what basketball is equivalent of the G League might be.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more like a developmental league, but either way, still very huge. Still,
Yeah,
I mean, starting, like you on the field. Like,
right.
we're not gonna just dismiss it. No, she was on the field. Now,
Yeah.
mind you, she's been with the team, I think 2 years now. And sorry, I didn't write down the name of the team, but it's somewhere in Carolina, actually, I think.
Okay.
But she has been coaching
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So
Wow.
this, yeah. I think she was the first, she's been the first base coach. Like, yeah. So for her to have this opportunity to actually get out on the field though and participate was huge. I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. You're looking it up, I can tell. Yeah. Yes, I'm here for it. So she's yeah, it's been like the thing that lets you know it's really big. It's been, I mean, everywhere I look, it's a story about it.
Right.
It's really cool. So kudos to her. Like, that's not a feel-good final thought, but kudos to her for sticking it out, because I can imagine what that environment is like.
Yeah.
Because even at the upper echelon of baseball, women being involved is very rare. In that, you know, team environment and in the offices, yeah, but in the team environment, very rare.
Something different. Yeah. So, well, let me say this first. So she's a member of the Staten Island Fairy Hawks.
Staten Island. That's it.
Right.
Okay. Why did I think? Oh, they must have played in Carolina.
They play in Gastonia.
That's what it was.
North Carolina.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite movies all time is A League of Their Own.
Yes, I love that. Yes.
One of my favorite movies. And
yes.
So that's actually one of the baseball is one of the sports where I feel like a woman could, maybe not seamlessly, but a woman could integrate that sport and play with the men.
It's less about strength and speed,
Right.
and things that kind of separate men and women in some ways, right?
Right.
And so absolutely baseball is one of those. And I feel like because softball is so close.
Right.
So women that play softball, it's kind of like the guys, a lot of these guys who are now coming into the NFL were rugby players.
Yeah.
Because it's something that's easily translatable, right? The skill sets are, and so I feel like softball is one of the things that's easily translatable to to baseball. And so I love this for her, and I hope that we'll see more of it. Obviously, I didn't even bother to look to see how she did, but it doesn't matter. It's just awesome. I'm so, yeah, I thought this was really a good thing, like, to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so Coach Prime is mad.
To say the least. And well, he should be.
Coach
I'm
Prime
not
is
mad at
mad.
him for being mad. He should be.
He should be, definitely.
He should be.
One of the things that he called out was that at Jackson State's Pro Day,
Okay.
he had 24 NFL teams to show up. And for those of you who don't know, there are 32 NFL teams. So 8 NFL teams made the decision that they weren't going to show up to Jackson State.
And put this in some context for them, Jarrett, because every Power 5 team that has a pro day.
Yeah.
Every team
is there.
Is going to be there.
Well, and one of the things that I was going to say is that 24 teams made it to Jackson State. And some of that was purely off of the fact that Deion Sanders is there and he's the coach. Some of these other black colleges, they're not getting 24 teams coming to check them out.
No, not at all.
And so it's a bit disheartening as an HBCU grad, because we've seen the waves. We've seen, the 70s and 80s.
90s. It was 70s and 90s. It was, that's when they were number one pick draft picks. It wasn't just, because this draft, just so y'all also context for you, this draft, there were 4 players picked from HBCUs, and they were all in the late rounds. And Deion did have one player.
One player drafted, yeah.
But that is not the point.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in seeing, and this is probably something I should have looked up before. I'd be interested to see how many of his players were invited to camp, or how many HBCU players in total were invited to camp.
You mean like after the draft?
Yeah, undrafted free agents. And so, one of the things that we were seeing is like there was a period where not only were HBCU graduates not drafted, they weren't even getting invited to camp as an undrafted free agent. Right. And so I'd be interested in seeing what that looked like this year. Yeah. Because it can only get better with Deion Sanders putting the spotlight on it.
Right. And then you got Eddie George. I mean, it's so many of these former NFL players that are now a part of these HBCU programs. So that's all helpful. But again, it goes back to this mindset that the talent is less.
Right.
And if you look at let's just look at the 90s, and one particular person that was drafted in the 90s that should have, well, there were a whole bunch of them drafted in the 90s that should have given them some clues, but one of it, Steve McNair.
Ed McNair, Alcorn State.
If that was not an indicator for these schools, and I mean these teams, to know that those schools are not producing less talent, lesser talent. Like, just understand, this man was the starting quarterback of a whole football team. So I don't know where this, like in the last 30 years, where this idea that they're less has come from. I mean, I guess it's been kind of derived and put together, if you will, so to speak. Because everybody wants all of the talent to really go to the PWI and the Power 5 schools. So let's make them feel lesser. Let's kind of, I'm not getting into conspiracy theory, but
no, listen, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I'm put you all the way there.
So I feel like it's been kind of done on purpose, but I hope that Deion's being vocal about this, as well as the shift that we've already talked about in several episodes of seeing some more of these high profile talents going to these HBCUs. I hope that it brings the spotlight back, and that more talent will be plucked from this tree. I will say that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it's funny, you mentioned Steve McNair. I got another name for you. First black quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Doug Williams.
Doug Williams. Yep. I don't know how I forgot his name just that quickly when he played for my team.
Yes, he did.
You know what I'm saying? Grambling State graduate. Yeah. And so, HBCUs have a rich history, and I do understand that as the more high-profile players started to go to PWIs, it kind of lessened the talent pool. But we see that there have been players that come out. Like, shout out to Antoine Bethea, one of my teammates at Howard. He got drafted in the 6th round, and honestly, like, he should have gone higher. Who did I say?
Just now?
Antoine Bethea, right?
Okay.
Well, because I was thinking about Ron Bartel as well. Ron Bartel, who he was drafted, another one of my teammates drafted in the 2nd round my sophomore year in 2004. And so, you know, we've had players who've gone and who've done well, and so I just don't understand why they don't see the value. You know,
I mean, you go and pick kids from these little bitty schools that are PWI, by the way. But you will go into the cracks and crevices to find these kids in these little schools, but not having the same lens for the HBCU student, it just doesn't sit right. And so I hope that what Deion is saying resonates and gets the attention of the people it needs to. And maybe the NFL can have another stupid rule that all 32 teams have to send a representative to visit the HBCUs, because we didn't even put that other stupid thing they just came up with on here today. But woo, y'all, just stupid. It wasn't even worth breath.
It wasn't worth talking about.
Just what are y'all doing? It just didn't make sense. So yeah. Okay.
Deandre Hopkins suspended 6 games for PEDs, which means that this wasn't his first offense. Because I think the first one you get suspended 4 games, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Or did they change it?
It might have been changed. I'm not.
Just because he doesn't, I don't remember this being an issue for him when he was in Houston.
Yeah.
I don't remember that being an issue for him in Houston. But either way, he is on one about this one, okay?
Oh, yeah.
He is on one. He's like, no, I got to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Like, what's really happening? Because here's the thing, people. A lot of times these athletes are being, what is the word I want to use? I don't want to say prescribed, but suggestions are made to them of things to do to help their body, whether that's recovery or if that's, something's aching and just do this use this and they're just trusting that the people who are telling them these things are up on all of the new what's right, what's wrong, what's not allowed, what's okay. And a lot of times that's not the case, and it's not fair to them. Again, here I go about being fair. But it's not fair to them because I'm trusting that you know what you do. But then here's the lesson for the athlete. You need to check for yourself to make sure that before you put something in your body, it is something that is not being, looked at in a negative way by the NFL or any sport.
Well, and that's what they tell them. They like, you're responsible for what goes in your body. So you can't use somebody else. You have to check because you are going to be held responsible. And so, but there are times, and there have been times where the NFL was wrong. And so I don't know the circumstances, like,
Yeah, I'm looking for the rest of this. Yeah.
But, there have been times where they've been wrong. So it doesn't look like, this looks like his first offense.
That's what I thought. I don't believe he's been in. That's why, and he's not that kind of dude. Like the first thing that come out of his mouth when this came out was, I hate that this is making my team feel like I'm letting them down, but I got to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why we're talking about it. Because if it was just, I did it, and well, but I feel like there's a story here that we're going to have to like kind of follow to get more information on. And so I just wanted to talk about it from the standpoint of stop trusting these people to just with your money and your body. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you.
I'm all off on something else, but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Draymond Green is at the center of controversy again. But this time, JJ Redick comes to his defense and he drags Chris Mad Dog Russo for another shut up and play statement. which he made, where he says that older fans don't like Draymond and he's polarized.
Yeah.
So JJ's retort is that Draymond Green has his own Turn It Back podcast, and that he didn't care about older fans' opinions because, like Fox News and Russo, they are of that own opinion to shut up and play.
Yeah. I loved it. I was here for it. I was like, go JJ.
Yeah, I
love JJ.
And I didn't like him so much.
I love JJ. I have always loved JJ.
I couldn't stand him. I could not stand him. Being a fan of the University of Maryland.
Okay.
He dashed a couple of hopes of mine, namely the 2001 Final Four, I believe it was, when I think Duke
yep.
won. They won the national championship that
Yep.
year, but they beat Maryland in the Final Four.
Yep.
Now Maryland went on to win the next year, but that's
nevertheless that year. Yes. It belonged to, yes.
Right.
Yeah, no, I love JJ. I have always loved JJ. I love his game. I love his attitude. He ain't got so much swag, but he got a little swag about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just like him. And so when he was on and talking, and Chris Russo was having this conversation, like, he's not like a Waltz, or he's not like a somebody. And JJ Redick just said, listen, that's all well and good. This is a new day. These are not the same kind of players. He has a right to his opinion. Somebody wants to hear him that Turner would then turn around and actually sponsor his podcast. Right. Somebody wants to hear him. And JJ said, I don't care about what these old people say. Mm-hmm. Like, it ain't about them. It's a new day. It's a new era. Let that man speak if he want to speak, right? And I totally agree. Like, the one thing I know about Draymond Green is he is not a malicious, mean person.
Yeah.
He is a passionate, sometimes a little over the top person.
Yeah.
But he is not a mean person. Like, he is somebody who operates in emotion, which can get you in trouble.
He is a habitual line stepper.
He is. That is right. Right. He is always at the boundary with his toe over the line. Yeah. Yes, of course.
But he still feels good natured. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just don't believe he's a bad person. I just feel like this is one of those cases, and it could be something that y'all, anybody who watches this knows me. You know that my head straight goes to mental health, right? This could be a situation where he needs a diagnosis, because and it's not a bad thing. I need people to stop thinking about mental health in a bad way. What I'm saying is, because he seems to be somebody who is incapable or unable, or even maybe here it is, unwilling to not allow his emotions. I feel like that is his strength in playing basketball. And so he does not know how to not use them in every interaction.
Yeah.
Right? He is always feels like he's always in a very emotional manner, like saying things or doing things or shooting birds at people, or that, all that. So I just feel like it's just the passion part of him, and it comes out in a not so good way all the time. But to say he need to shut up and play basketball is a problem.
Nah.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Is anybody telling? Because it's funny to me that he would say this, that he's polarizing, but his coach is a very vocal coach about what he like and don't like. I was just watching the game the other night, and listen, don't interview Steve Kerr when he pissed. That's all I'm gonna say. Because she was trying to interview him, and she said, well, what do you think? Because it was the game where Draymond got the cut, and where Gary Payton II got the elbow injury.
Yeah.
Within the first 3 minutes of the game, this happened.
Yeah.
And so she interviews him, I think at between the quarters or something, and he is like, she said something, what are you feeling about how the game's going, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, you mean how they playing dirty? Oh!
Well, if you got Draymond Green on your team, you're going to have to wear that, because what he did to Dylan Brooks in game 1 got him kicked out of the game, could have got him suspended the way he did it. Now, I think that they probably eased up on him because
he was trying to hold a man up. He wasn't trying to let him fall. He was. He grabbed him and then he kept holding him, trying to hold him up.
He yanked him down. And
but then he was holding on to him.
No. He yanked him down.
He did.
He went all the way to the floor, and then he tried to pick him up. And
no, he did not. That's not true, Jared.
That is the actions of somebody who realized, I'm about to get suspended for this, or I'm about to get kicked out of this game.
I don't know that he was thinking alike.
Nah, and that pull down that he did is not a natural motion, so you know that he did that on purpose.
Yeah, no, that part I get. I'm not arguing that he should have gotten the flagrant foul. I'm arguing, I don't know the intent was to try to harm this man.
And that's why I say he's a habitual line stepper. I don't know if he was trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wanted him to be injured.
No.
But he definitely did that on purpose. And so I
he did it on purpose, but I don't think it was with the intent to hurt him. Unlike now, Brooks was the one that hurt Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand from Brooks' point. Well, if you're gonna play like that, then let's do it.
But you're gonna do it to Draymond then, not me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He should have did it to Draymond.
Like you gonna do it to Draymond, not me.
He like, I'm going for whoever.
No, you can't do that. No. So, but yeah, I just in his defense though, I feel like he's just, yeah, it's the emotions. If we can wrangle them in sometimes, he'd be good. But as far as him being able to say what he wants to say, as long as he's not your habitual line stepper, as long as he's not line stepping,
right?
I'm all for it. He has an opinion. He has the right to have an opinion.
Yeah.
So. Put the cameras on me. 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 Put the cameras on me.